What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the No Cap Space. Oh, man, I'm excited for this. A returning guest to a luxury tax, the very first interview in No Cap Space history. USC's, a little different, Kiki Iriafen is in the house. Kiki, welcome back. We're so excited to get to chop it up with you.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, so much has changed. Congratulations to you guys. Thank you for having me back.
Oh, well, thank you. I know I saw you bumping your head to the intro video. We've upgraded a little bit from when we first started. We were on Zoom then. We got the little kind of setup here and everything, but you've changed a couple things too, Kiki.
Let's be real, Tyler. Our changes pale in comparison to her.
Yeah, like
we got new graphics. You got a whole.
We got an intro video. You're in Los Angeles now. How is it going? Like, okay, yeah, you already see, you're already in, you're locked in already. You got the fight on, ready to go, and everything. Just generally speaking, we'll certainly dive in deeper into the move and everything. But like, just how has it been so far over the summer?
It's been amazing. I'm from LA, so being back home is like, you cannot compare that to anything else. So I've loved being back home. And then being with the team has been amazing. Like, all of my teammates have been super welcoming, super like just fun and like nice. And I like grew up playing against a lot of them or like playing with them. So it's nice that we're all back together on the same team, especially for my last year. So I couldn't ask for anything better.
So what was the transfer recruiting process like? Because Talia has told us some crazy stories from her travels.
Yes.
I'm curious if you've got some of your own. Did they bring out a big gun like Kalani for Kiki when she wanted to come visit?
Yeah, the recruiting process was honestly overwhelming. Like, there was so much going on. I went into the portal as like no contact, but that really didn't hold that loss. But yeah, on my visit to USC, I kind of didn't want a lot. Like, this honestly, this was my first ever official visit because I was a COVID class.
Right.
So I never got one out of high school, but I still kind of like, you know, I've been through the college process, so I kind of knew what I wanted. So I was just like selecting certain schools that had what I wanted. So I didn't really need a lot from USC. I think it was just more so like being on campus and like kind of having that feeling. And from the moment I stepped on campus, I was like, this is where I want to be. Like, we always say this is the place to be, but this is really the place to be. So I think it was also great to be on the visit with Talia as well. So we're both in the same position, like both graduated 3 years, both grad transfers. So it was really nice to have someone like to do the whole thing with. But I think they did a great job with my visit. I mean, they sealed the deal. I didn't even leave without committing. So yeah, they did a great job. And I think it was really just being on campus. I was like, this is where I see myself.
Yeah.
Well, that was a big deal too, because you had the South Carolina visit lined up.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, as a longtime West Coast basketball guy, I'm like, bro, we can't lose another. We did this with Tahina, and God bless her. I'm glad she's doing well over there, but we can't do this again to our West Coast. What was it about the visit down in LA that made it so you didn't even get out to Columbia? I mean, was it the play relation, like all of the things that you see in terms of the roster construction? I know Lindsay's super big on relationships and kind of has this, aura of like, you want to play for her, and the women of Troy have that aura too. What was the sealer for you where it's like, I'm not even stepping on a plane. I'm home. I'm here. Fight on.
Yeah, honestly, it was such a hard decision. Like, being able to play for Coach Staley would have been amazing. I feel like it was a win-win for me. I couldn't have lost with any decision I made. So, Coach Staley has coached great post players, like people in my position, has had like top draft picks. So I would have been great there as well. I think for me, again, LA, you can't really compare location wise. LA is an amazing place. It's home for me. But I think it was really just like, I had a great relationship with the coaches. Again, like I played with a lot of the girls on the team. So being somewhere for almost less than a year, that was something that was going to be really big for me, is like I have to like kind of form these relationships really quickly and like have this chemistry so that I can translate on the court. And I feel like I had a jump start with that because I grew up with a lot of my teammates. So I think that was big. And then again, I tell you, from the second I came here, it was like family. Like, everybody's like, Kiki, Kiki, Kiki. And like, I really felt at home. Like, I was even telling Coach Lindsay, like, I wish I had a COVID year. So if I wanted to, I could use the second year here at USC. So I think after I was like thinking that, I was like, if I'm saying all these things to myself, I think this is somewhere that I could really see myself.
Yeah, what players in particular do you feel like you've gotten closest with? Like, even on the visit, you and Talia were making TikToks and everything, like off rip. Like, I feel like I've seen so many different like just fun videos across social media and everything. Like, is it kind of just like a team wide thing where you feel like kind of everyone's like involved in this, or there are certain players that you've been able to individually like really gotten close to since you arrived this summer? How were kind of the vibes relationship wise in that way?
Yeah, I think it's really a team-wide thing. I think the whole team is very close. Like a lot of us, like in the summer, most of us live together. So like you practice and you go home together. So like there was always that chemistry. We're always hanging out. But I would say like my class, I'm super close with like Rhea, Clarice, TBO, Dom, like our whole senior class, like we're really close. But then like Ju and I have gotten closer. Me and the freshmen have gotten super close. So I would say it's really team-wide. Like I feel like I have that one-on-one relationship with everybody. I can talk to anybody. They can talk to me about anything, like even just outside of basketball. So I would say this team is pretty close in like all aspects.
Yeah.
What's it been like just kind of, I was going to say, what's it been like just kind of going ahead and not only melding with this roster, but like when it comes to JuJu, like I feel like there's like the JuJu Watkins experience, like that is starting to come about now. Like I'm watching the NLDS with the Dodgers and I see a graphic with JuJu's face on. I'm like, I feel like that probably doesn't happen for USC a few years ago. Does it feel like there's star power, like with you and Talia, Rhea, JuJu? Like there's like an energy about the program now where it feels like you guys are stars in your own right. Do you see that with her? And more importantly, do you see that with yourself and everybody else around you?
Yeah, I think definitely I'll start with like the team. I think the team kind of has this like showtime, like kind of like the Lakers. Lakers are showtime. So I feel like USC, like we're kind of coming into that too. Like the showtime team, like people are excited to watch us play. They want to be entertained. And then in terms of Ju, like she is a superstar. There's no doubt about it. Like what did I go yesterday? I went to Kava yesterday and this guy was like, oh my goodness, like you're JuJu Watkins. I was like, sorry.
No.
I'll take it though. I'll take the compliment, but I was like, sorry. I did have my hair in a bun to be for real. So maybe it was the bun, even though it's blonde, but
yeah.
So definitely her superstar power, like even just on campus, like she is a superstar. But then even globally, she's a superstar. Like when I go certain places, they're like, "How is it playing with JuJu? Like how is she? Blah blah blah." And I'd say she's great. Like I think she's a great basketball player, but she's honestly an even better person. She's super humble and very down to earth. Like if you weren't in the basketball space, you wouldn't even know that she's like this big time person because she carries herself just so like normal and like very humble. Doesn't throw anything into your face. And if anything, I think she always brings her team into things. So any deals that she gets, she's always like, how can I include my team in certain things? So I think she's just an amazing person. Yeah.
Yeah.
For you, like going around town as a local, right? And so like you're already known to some people, like Studio City, Harvard, Westlake, you know what I mean? But now that you're on this team and there's like a little Women of Troy 80s resurgence going on with the program itself.
Yep. We got the shirt.
I'm gonna wait for you to do the home field.
Yeah, don't worry. I got you. That's at the end. Don't worry.
But have you experienced that yourself? Like going around town and people are like, yo, you're USC women's basketball. And there's like a vibe in the city that like you're a known commodity in a place where it's hard to break in, to the public consciousness in that way again.
Yeah, I think definitely, especially around USC, I felt it. Even in classes, like my first ever class here, one of my professors was like, you're from Stanford. Oh my gosh, like you're on the women's basketball team here. Like I'm so excited to have you in the class. Like I'm coming to all your games. So it was kind of surreal. I was like, whoa, like I just got here. So I think also just like from the USC community, there's so much love for women's basketball and like people really support my classmates. So like now I'm a grad student. I'm a master's student. So like all these people are like, I'm going to leave work to come watch you play and things like that. So it's like, whoa, this is crazy. Like even thinking to the beginning of last season, it was not like this. And then going to the beginning of my freshman year, it was definitely not like this. To see all of like the emergence and the popularity around women's basketball, college women's basketball is super exciting. And to be like able to partake in that at this moment is like, I think it's such a huge blessing, but it's been a big shift, but I'm super excited to see how it continues to go on an upward trend.
Yeah. For you, I love that you mentioned even dating back like to your freshman year. Cause like, even just like on an individual level, like your stock just in general, whether it be on the court, off the court, has just risen and just kind of, it's taken a step up every year. And especially kind of last year is like the breakout year of sorts in that way. how do you kind of look back on this journey now? Like, obviously, you still got a year to go, but like you're now at a marquee program. You're all over the top of mock draft boards for the WC. Like all of these things are happening now, and it's been earned and worked on step by step, year by year, and it's now kind of crescendoed. How do you kind of look back on the journey so far as you kind of get ready to enter into this last college season?
It's kind of surreal because I think coming into college definitely had dreams of like playing professionally, but I was just like, I think I was like, I don't even know what I was at in anything, but I was just like, okay, whatever. But I think I said it in our last interview, but I was like, junior year is like, I got to make something shake or else, like, you know, so it's kind of surreal to see like where I'm at now and like how many opportunities have come to me just being in this position right now. But I think honestly, it's just like, you just put your head down and you just grind. Like my first 2 years, it didn't look like anything was going to happen, but like you kind of continue to do that. And I think now the biggest change for me is going into the season being known versus being unknown. So like last year, I was still kind of this underdog. No one really knew who I was, but this season people do know who I am. So I think there's a greater pressure and expectation, which is great. Like I think you work hard to have those moments of like, you want to be in those big time moments. We have a lot of key matchups this year. So I'm really excited for that. I think for me, it's just like remaining grounded and not being complacent, not being like, okay, where I've gotten, because everyone's getting better. So I think for me, it's like kind of keeping that same mindset that got me here and not getting too caught up in the moment.
Yeah.
Did you know Tara? Do you know Tara was going to retire?
That seems like a bit of an answer.
I don't know.
Yeah.
No, I got you.
The reason I ask is because you know I'm curious just about like the evolution of your time in Stanford, right? Because you know there's Cam, like you guys are kind of dipping your toe into NIL, and Stanford isn't necessarily like the machine in that way. You go from that to USC, which is like all about selling you as the brand, right? And so I'm just curious, you know, what the differences have been, even in your limited time at USC already, just like the differences between like that Stanford program and that experience and what you've seen so far at USC. And, you know, to that point, just like how the sport has changed from like how, say, Taro kind of like ran the program and wanted to run it versus like the way Lindsay does and how she values and prioritizes things as a program builder and leader.
Yeah, I will say USC is definitely more NIL forward. But I also attribute that to like Coach Tara and Coach Lindsay are two different generations. So like Coach Lindsay is definitely more engaged and invested in NIL, whereas like Stanford, we were able to be successful doing it one way for so long. But that's not to say like they were still incorporating their own NIL practices. Like collectives were really big at Stanford. But I think even at USC, like Coach Lindsay brought this woman over, Molly. She's a photographer, just to make sure that everybody has their own portfolio. And from there, like you can do whatever you want with that. You can like have that portfolio, give them out to brands and like sell yourself. Or like one of my teammates, Clarice, wants to be a doctor. So like hers is all about like everything with her, like stats and like, you know, everything she needs to go to med school. So I think that's something that I saw the biggest difference is like how much Coach Lindsay is willing to invest, whether that's like you want to use it for basketball or not, but like just investing in you as a person so that you can maximize, you know, all this opportunity and spotlight that we have in college right now to help you after college.
That's super dope. I don't think I've ever heard of a portfolio like that. That's great. That's super dope.
It's amazing. We still haven't gotten them back yet, but I'm super excited to see, you know, what it looks like.
Yeah. If you were, you get the portfolio back.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, let's send this out. Let's send this out. See what happens. What's the dream brand to work with then? Because now, like, it's NIL Central now. You're in Los Angeles, so you can kind of shoot the shot wherever. You got the portfolio. What's the dream NIL deal here, and what would you like to do with this brand?
Yes, so definitely with my portfolio. So I've showcased more of like my girly side. So like I love fashion, makeup, all of that. So my portfolio is all about like me dressing up, fashion, all that stuff. So long-term big goal, I'm going to be like the face of some like luxury brand, like a Chanel, Louis Vuitton. That's long-term. But I think right now, and this has been something that I've dreamt of since I was like a freshman in college, is like Red Bull. Like I was obsessed with
Really?
Red Bull.
Okay.
obsessed. I have a picture. I'll have to send it to you guys, and you guys can like upload it in there. But
please do.
I have like this. I got a bunch of cans of Red Bull, and I spelled out "I love you" with Red Bull cans.
Oh my goodness!
Like I have this like dream campaign. Like Red Bull gives you wings. I dunk it, and I'm like, because of the Red Bull is why.
Kiki, hold
I'm
on.
liking this vision.
Hold on, because Kiki, look what we have. Hey, Red Bull, you want to see a dunk?
Oh my goodness!
See a dunk, Kiki?
I drank a Red Bull before that, so that's why.
No, you did not.
Come on.
Red Bull.
Yeah, she did, Andrew. She did. Did you not see the wings? Well, Kiki, that means, not to put you on the spot, sounds like we need an in-game dunk.
We do.
Is that in the cards? Is that like, obviously, it's gotta line up.
Yeah.
But is that something you're mindful of? Like, yeah, I want to dunk this season.
Definitely. It's my senior year, so I think it's nothing I'm running away from. If I make it, great. If I miss it, okay, just get the ball back. But it's nothing I'm scared of. I think my coaches too, they're pumped for it too. They encourage me all the time, like, Kiki, dunk it, like, go and do it. So I think it's great that I have the support from all facets. So it's just about, everything just has to line up for me to do it. But definitely that's the plan this season.
It's interesting because, like, I feel like this current generation of hoopers that's coming in, right? Whether it's you, Caitlin, JuJu, Malaysia, like, there's been players in the past that have done this kind of stuff, but it feels like within this current crop of players, like, all of y'all have a certain thing, right? Like a certain transformative, transcendent thing that fan of any type of basketball can look at and relate to and be like, that is hoops right there. Like, is there, I don't want to say like, is the dunking contingent on like brand building, but like, is there something to that of like, I'm going to have a thing, like, I'm going to have my thing. Like, I'm going to have, JuJu's here doing this or Talia's here doing this. I'm going to have the Kiki thing. And that's going to be my staple and signature on the floor.
Honestly, that's such a great question. I don't think dunking can be as consistent where I can be like, that's my thing. I think though, when you watch me play, I'm like kind of crazy in a great way though. Like, if you watch me, like, even on the bench, I'm like going bananas just for a simple layup. Like, I'm like sticking out my tongue. Like, I'm just like goofy on the court. Definitely always like serious game time. Like, I like to have fun. So I think if people like really pay attention, like, you'll see me all the time. Anytime my teammates like do something great, which they do all the time, like, I'm the biggest cheerleader. So I think the biggest thing that I bring is like energy. And that's why I say showtime, because like, you will never be bored watching us. Like, even if it's like a tough game for us, like, you are not going to be bored, because one, we're going to play really hard. We all love each other. So we're all the biggest supporters of each other. And we all just want to have fun. So like, I think that will really translate when you watch this play. Do
you have bench routines set up? Like, do we have like a 3 goggle, we need like catch,
celebration,
are we in the lab cooking this up or what?
Honestly, it's whatever I feel in the moment, but I have been working on my 3 celly. So I brought it out a little bit last season.
Yes.
I've been doing the kisses. So I want to bring that back. So when I hit my first 3 of the season, first of many, see the new celly.
I love that you mentioned that, because I wanted to ask, because our interview was directly after the game you hit your first 3. So I wanted to ask, like, is the 3 ball like that? This is something that we're working on. This is something that we're.
I don't want to say too much, but I will say my coaches love a Kiki 3. So they are very supportive of Kiki 3. So just know it'll be
little eye emojis right next to the 3-point line right now. Just a little eye emojis.
There'll be a lot more like opportunities for me to shoot the 3 this season. Definitely.
Oh, I can't wait. I love that so much. Well, another part. Oh, go ahead, Andrew. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say we're setting up the handshake here, because I've already seen and noticed how much y'all are doing. I like, look,
come on, we had to do
perfect. It. We're still in media days. It's still preseason. We got plenty of time. Tyler, roll the clip.
Kiki, we gotta break this down. We brought you game film.
The reigning national power forward of the year and the reigning national shooting guard.
Here we go.
On the same roster. All right.
Oh no, Kiki!
Handshake over there, ladies.
Kiki, what?
Come on. Okay, fun fact: that is the handshake. I'm just kidding.
See, that would have been a hell of a pivot.
That would have been a great pivot.
That would have been an incredible pivot.
No, I don't even know what happened, but I think the funniest part is that we switched at the same time.
Literally, that's chemistry.
Exactly. That's chemistry. No, I think Ju and I, we just always have fun with each other. Like, we're very goofy. Like, I think that's one thing people don't know about Ju is like, she's so goofy, like off the court, very goofy. And I think, you know, when we're together, we just like maximize the goofiness. So I'm really excited to, you know, play with her, for people to see us play together. I think pick and rolls with us are super fun because you got to kind of pick your poison. But yeah, that was just, I don't even know what happened in that moment, but it was a great clip. Everybody loved it.
Yeah.
You know, it's live TV. I get it. I get it. Things happen on live TV. You never know. I'm curious on the goofy component. Like, did you or can you point to a specific moment that you had with her where she does something goofy and you're like, bro, like, who are you right now?
Well, I will say, I think Ju makes fun of me in like, in a funny way. Like, I'll say something like, come on, guys. And she'd be like, come on, guys. Like, okay, I get it. But I think it's just like, I don't know. It just like happens in the moment. And I think it's like, she's a sophomore now. So I think she's able to kind of like breathe a little bit. She knows what to expect. So she still is like killer in like practice and everything, takes everything very seriously. But I think she's able to let her guard down a little bit more and just like, you know, have fun while doing it as well.
So on the basketball side, did you get any W evals from this past season while you were kind of like weighing grad transfer or not? Is there any discussion like with WNBA teams or scouts or GMs of like, hey, we love you. We would love to see X, Y, or Z incorporated into your game this year?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing for me is really stretching the floor, which I know that without anybody telling me that. And then I think also just working on certain things defensively. I think at Stanford, like I had Cameron, so if I got beat, I wasn't tripping about anything.
You're like, I should
fair, yeah. That's
so for me, it's like I want to be able to make sure one in the post, like that's a lock, but then also being able to guard on the perimeter as well if my coaches need me to. Which I think that's why I love USC's because they put me in uncomfortable situations. Like I'm not like, yes, I want to guard on the perimeter, but they're like, no, you're going to. And I think, you know, being uncomfortable is what's going to make me better in the long run. So they're having me guard on the perimeter. They're having me shoot threes. They're having me handle the ball, things like that, just to get used to it, which I think will help at the next level, you know, guarding pick and rolls. But in terms of like evals, like I really didn't want to listen to anything because I think whatever weight you put into that, if it's good, it's great. But if it's bad, that's all you're going to think about. So I try not to give too much weight to outside opinions, but in terms of like talking to GMs and like different coaches, my agents have dealt with all of that stuff. So I kind of know what people are looking for, but I think it's been in line with what I myself wanted to improve on, what my coaches think I need to improve on. So I'm kind of just working on those things.
Well, Kiki, you mentioned the Showtime aspect here, and we touched on this very, very briefly before we started recording. This USC UCLA game, both of them are about to be so much fun. Like the city is, they are going to show out. There's so much talent on both those teams. Like it gets insane, like especially in the portal. How excited are you, first off, for that? And you got to tell us about these blue leggings and what happened, because you touched on it before. I need you to expand upon that story. First, the excitement just on the game itself and being involved in a legitimate rivalry. And then you got to touch on the blue leggings and what went down with that.
Yeah, I'm so pumped for the Battle of LA. Like we didn't really have this kind of rivalry at Stanford, so I'm excited to have a real rivalry and like play against my girl Lauren Betts. And like as you said, UCLA has a great team, so I think it'll be great to play against great competition locally. But in terms of the blue leggings, so I have these blue leggings and I wore them to the gym one day, and they were like, no. And I'm like, what? They're like, we do not wear blue at USC. Like, that's not a thing. And like the hate for UCLA is so real. Like, even in my grad programs, like people will be like, oh, I got my undergrad at UCLA, and they'll start booing. They'll be like, boo.
Oh, I love
like,
it. Oh, yeah. Oh, I love it.
It's the same at UCLA. They hate us over there too. But I think for us, it's like we hate you, but like we're so excited to play you. Like it's like a love-hate relationship. We know it's going to be a great game. But I think I'm just super excited for the atmosphere to see what it's like playing at home, but then also seeing what it's like playing over there, but with USC across my chest.
What are you going to, you know, let me not be messy. I'm not going to, I almost asked about celebrations at UCLA, but I'm not going to do that. What I will ask though is I'm interested. You mentioned like the atmosphere aspect of this. We saw celebrities pulling up like all season last year for USC, and that's just going to evolve more and more. Is there like a dream celebrity that you're like, come pull up? Like I'm trying to see you courtside.
Yeah, I've already talked about this with my teammates, and he's been to a game, so I hope he's coming back again. But Michael B. Jordan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can do with that information what you will.
I'm about to say. Noted.
You know,
noted.
That's a good one to have though. I like that. It's crazy because like in addition to the celebrities, right? Like you have hoops royalty too. Like you've got Cheryl and you've got Rhonda and everybody. And for you in particular, I mean, you got the McGee twins, you got Lisa, you've got Tina as like the front court legends of USC. Have you gotten much exposure to them? Has there been reach out from like the old guard to you to be like, hey, welcome, like I'm gonna coach you up. I'm gonna teach you how to hate UCLA properly. Like, Pam McGee tells you, I'm gonna teach you how to talk shit. Like, is there anything else that you get in there at all?
Yeah, I will say, fun fact, my number 44 was actually like retired. It's Cynthia Cooper's number, one of the USC legends. So they were able to talk to her and let me wear that number for this year. So I'm super grateful to Miss Cooper for that. And then in terms of like the legends, like Cheryl Miller is around a lot. So we've been able to talk to her. I saw her at the WNBA All-Star and chatted with her a little bit, but more so at practice and things like that. And she's been great. Like she is all USC. She's all us, like pours into us. She just wants us to be great. And like, she's always a resource for us if we ever want to talk about anything. But I think the biggest piece of advice that she gave us is like, we're no longer underdogs, because USC was an underdog last year. So it's now like you have this big target on your back, and it's like really honing in on the little things every single day, taking every practice as like, this could be the last practice, or this could be like the big one for the big game. So I think just, having that chemistry, but also taking control of the little details.
Yeah, I love that. I'm interested when we talked to Leah and when she had transferred, we had talked to her not long after she announced it. One aspect that I thought was interesting when talking to her and her reasoning was seeing the grad transfers from last year and seeing the success that like a Mackenzie Forbes, for example, had at USC and just seeing kind of the comfortability of that. Was that something that you kind of took note of in the transfer process for when deciding to go to USC?
Yes. So I spoke to Mackenzie before I even got into the portal. Like I was just talking to her, like, how do you like USC? And she was just like, she loves it, especially coming in as a grad. Like it's been great. And just how much she thinks like they've developed her and gotten her ready to play at the next level. And then also Kayla Padilla, her and I used to play club basketball together. So that was someone that I was like, okay, I really trust you, because we played together. And like, she was like, there's nothing better than like, coming home. Like she's from Torrance, and like the whole Filipino community would come out to offer her game. So I felt like those two aspects were really special. Like one, like having your family and your people around, but then also, USC can do something to help you prepare for the next level, but then also right now helping you compete to win a national championship. So I feel like all those things that they told me were some things that I valued and kind of weighed into my decision to come to USC.
So I got to ask, because, Cam's in LA now as a pro, but now that she's a pro, is she too big time to pick up the phone for you? Or are you still in touch?
Never. I went to one of her games this summer. It was after her injury, unfortunately. And we like talked, we were supposed to hang out. And then I've also like congratulated her on her engagement, but she's great. She's always showing love to me. She's always super happy for me. I know she'll be at some of our games this year. So the love is still there and we're still super close.
She giving you any insight just about like what it's like up there and what life in the W is like? And you can maybe take a couple of things and mentally prepare yourself. Like, okay, like there's this element of preparation that exists within the WNBA, and I can take like a piece of that and implement it into my preparation here to get ready for the next level. Did you get anything like that at all?
Yeah, we honestly haven't talked about it like that. I think she was like in the thick of the season. So it was like, she was also still processing that, but definitely before I even get involved in that, like I'm going to definitely talk to Haley, talk to Cam, and kind of get, what is it like being a professional women's basketball player? What is the transition like as a rookie? Like, what are their biggest tips? Like, what do they think is the best thing that I should be doing from day one? Things like that. I would definitely pick their brains, but I haven't yet.
Is there, we gotta ask, we gotta pour one out.
Okay.
For the Pac-12. I know I'm like talking to two just deeply rooted Pac-12 people. I'm in Oklahoma. It doesn't hit the same, but
it's fine for you. You're in the SEC.
I'm in it means more over here. But I'm just interested now, like you're going into a whole new, like obviously a new team, but a team you're familiar with in a way. But now everyone else is new. Like this is all completely new. Does that like because I know, and especially the turnaround with Pac-12 games were insane and everything with like the prep times and everything. Does that change your process? Are you expecting that to change your process at all, like within conference play, like when it comes just preparing for the next team with everyone being a new opponent in that way?
Well, honestly, I think it's the Big Ten gives you 2 days in between games, so I think that's a plus for us. I do like the 1 day in between though from Pac-12 because you kind of like, okay, you have these 3 days of like playing, then you have the rest of the week to be back home and like do whatever you do. So we definitely have less time at home, but I'm super excited to play these new teams. But I think the 2 days in between will help us prepare for kind of what the Big Ten style is. My coaches have been scouting the Big Ten since when I committed, they were already scouting the teams in the Big Ten. So I think my coaches are really prepared in that aspect. But I think again, like the 2 days in between will give us a lot of practice and preparation for these teams.
Right. What's it been like watching women's basketball grow this year? You know, I mean, look, we'll keep it straight. The discourse and dialogue this summer is, for the most part, stunk. However, get past that, and the basketball has actually been very fun. And like all of the numbers, all of the metrics are up. There's this energy around the women's college game on the back of what's happened the last couple of years. Like, I know Stanford, like having worked in NorCal and worked in the Pac for a long time, like Stanford always kind of, to me, existed in an island unto itself, right? Like there's people that roll up to Maples and you get sellouts here and there, but like it doesn't feel as though the entirety of the Bay Area is like captured when you are playing with Stanford the same way it might be when you're down in LA with USC. Does it feel like generally, globally, that the energy around the sport is like getting into a place where no matter where you are known as a star college basketball player, whereas in years past, maybe that isn't the case until like March or April?
Definitely. I think the biggest shift for me is like when I hear my classmates or like even like friends, especially guys, and they're like, oh my gosh, Kiki, when's the WNBA finals? Like, I want to make sure I'm watching, like I'm tuned in. Or like when in the dining hall, even though Stanford wasn't playing, but like the Final Four and the championship game, like all the football guys, like they're all putting it on the big screen. Like they're all tuned in to watch that over, you know, the men's March Madness tournament. So I think that is like when I was like, wow, like this is really big. Or like just people asking like, oh, like who do you think is the best in the W? Or who do you think, like just genuinely like curious and interested in like, you know, women's college basketball, women's professional basketball. So I think that's when I've been like, wow, like this is insane. I think again, just from the beginning of last season to now, it's been such a huge shift. And to be alive and be playing at this time, I think it's amazing. And like to kind of reap the benefits of the woman that came before me and allowed me to have this platform and this stage to now, you know, be like shown in like the big media.
Are you seeing more of that from like a brand perspective, right? Like you mentioned you've got agents. Like, are you hearing more nowadays of like potential brand partnerships and the people that are interested in working with you, you know, now that you are at USC and now that the sport is kind of getting this mainstream moment that it's sort of been waiting for a while?
Yes, I would say definitely, you know, from last season, definitely a lot more like interest, but then coming to LA, I think also being in LA makes it easy because I can go right down to, most of their offices are in LA. I can go right down to their offices and like do certain things with different brands. But I think one thing that is huge is like, I feel like a lot more people want to tell stories now about women, like female athletes. So like for me, it's been a lot of like, we want to share your story. We want to like get people to know who you are, which I don't think brands were interested in that before. I think it was more so like, oh, you're a pretty face, let's put you on this. But it's like, no, we want people to get to know who you are and we want you to be able to share what you want to the public. So I think that's one of the biggest changes that I've seen, even just in terms of myself in deals from like where I started versus now.
Yeah. I'm interested for you when you get asked like that. It's like, okay, we want you to share your story. What are the things that you're looking for? Was like, these are what makes Kiki. Like these are the aspects that if you're representing me as a brand, these are the parts of my story that need to be shown and highlighted in this way. If you were kind of to bullet point a couple, what would you feel like those were?
Yeah, I think I'm so family oriented. So like my family is super important, which I think you can see with my decision to come back to LA.
Yeah.
So I'm the oldest of 3 and I'm also the oldest cousin. So like I have so many like cousins and little siblings. So that's super, super important to me. So kind of being this role model for them, but then also like my Nigerian heritage is super important to me. So as I continue to like build this resume, like I want to be able to go back home and like give back and like kind of just help a lot of Nigerian communities. So I think those 2 aspects are some things that I like really want to get out there. But then also just like, who is Kiki outside of basketball? What does she like to do? Like, I kind of mentioned a little bit, but like I'm super into fashion. So like I love to dress up, take pictures. Like I'm very extra in that regard. So definitely showcasing that. Like I'm more than a basketball player, but then I think at the end of the day, it's using your platform to give back to others. So like, using, the things that I gain and like the opportunities that I get to give back to other communities, I think is the essence of why I'm really here to do what I'm doing. But yeah.
I know we're running short on time, so I got one more semi-serious, and then Tyler, you can close this out with like with a lighter one. With JuJu, I feel like a lot of people will be aware of her story when as more interest kind of comes, right? Like her background with her grandfather and the influence that they had on the community of Watts, and what they've tried to do as a family to give back to the Black community in that neighborhood. One of the things with USC, especially in the 80s, was the fact that culturally, the significance that they had to the Black community of Los Angeles and the Black women's community of Los Angeles. Like, it's not a thing that can be understated how vital they were to being those people and those figures. Do you feel like you guys maybe have that ability to do that now again, especially with what you just mentioned, that desire and ideal of wanting to give back and uplift and raise communities further, and that, within LA, there is a team of very accomplished Black women here that have the opportunity to put on for these communities in a way that maybe USC has not been able to do in prior years?
Definitely. I think just from a distance, I've seen it already happen since last season with USC, and like Ju is staying after games like for hours, just like she will not turn down a fan ever. And I think that's super impactful because like when they see her, they see like, wow, like she did it. I can do it too. I can do something similar. I can dream big and be very successful. So I think just from a distance, I've seen that. And then again, this year, like we want to continue that, like just, I think even with the USC camps that we've had, like, yes, we're teaching them basketball, but more so than that, we're just like a sponge board for them to like ask any, questions, or just honestly just spend time with them and like hang out with them. I think that's super impactful as well. And then as a team, we do a lot of stuff with like the Boys and Girls Club around LA. So we're always trying to give back to the community. And then if people have like specific interests that they want to do as well, like USC is great in like connecting you to like certain communities that you want to work with. But I think you hit the nail on the head. Like we want to kind of continue that history, that storied history that USC has. I think we're on track to do it, but then at an even bigger platform this year.
I love it. I love you mentioned the JuJu aspect too, because I was in Vegas for the Pac-12 tournament, and like literally every game, it was insane. Like that was one of my biggest takeaways from JuJu, was seeing that she did not miss an autograph.
Deny anybody.
It was so incredible to me. But Kiki, I know we don't want to hold you up too long. We're so appreciative of your time. It's the last one, just a very general one here. There's so much talent that has been now put onto this roster, and whether it be recruiting, whether it be transfer portal, it is stacked. For fans, that it is obviously this new collection of talent, this new team at USC. Just in general, however you want to take this, what should fans be expecting from the Trojans this year?
Expecting from the Trojans, honestly, Showtime is the best way I can describe it. I feel like this is what I've said every single like media day is like Showtime. Like we're kind of buying into that, but I think tenacious, like very aggressive, like we can score, but we can also defend. I think that's something that's super big for us, is like we want to limit teams like their scoring. I think kind of like making the first punch, like kind of like impressing our own will onto other teams. But I think the biggest thing is Showtime. We're going to be running gun. Like we're going to move that ball quickly. Like we're going up and down quick. So yeah, I would say the biggest thing is Showtime. That's us.
Love it. Put it in the lights. Put it in the lights. Like, come on, Kiki. We're excited is an understatement, honestly, for how ready we are to see this team play and to see you play. We're such big fans of your game. Obviously, our very first No Cap Space interview. Look how far we've come in such a short amount of time. And a couple things have changed since then, but we're so genuinely stoked and appreciative of your time.
Thank you guys so much. This is super fun.
Perfect. It's always an open door for you, Kiki. It truly is always. Well, make sure you guys stay tapped in here with the No Cap Space. Use the code down below to get 15% off your home field shirt. Stuff like this here. Women of Troy, you got to get ready for the season. You see it. Make sure you subscribe. Substack down below. All free to consume all No Cap Space content. And we'll see you next time.